Larry King Live, weeknights 9 Eastern on CNN.
I'm Andrea Hall at CNN Center in Atlanta. CNN Millennium 2000, a look back is just ahead. But first, we have a quick look ahead to 2001. Around the world, New Year's Eve is turning to New Year's Day. In New York City, Times Square is overrun with revelers. 500,000 people all waiting for the stroke of midnight. And it is already New Year's Day in other parts of the world. In Vatican City, Pope John Paul II addressed the crowds gathered in St. Peter's Square. In Moscow, thousands of Russians gathered in Red Square to greet 2001. Part of that celebration included the ringing of the Kremlin's bells. And in Tokyo, the Japanese celebration has come and gone. They celebrated the new year just a little over 16 hours ago. But New York is standing by, and so are we. We'll have live coverage from Times Square. You can join me at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time for the countdown to 2001. Well, now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather. CNN meteorologist Chad Myers has this report.
Yesterday at this time, we were watching a big nor'easter head up the East Coast. Now we're watching some snow across parts of the northeastern sections of Texas and Louisiana. That's all sliding down, though, into the Gulf of Mexico. It could see some flurries as far south as New Orleans by morning. High pressure across the Central Plains, very cold air there. And even by Tuesday morning, most of the United States still very dry. Overnight tonight, we are still very cold. We are going to be in the 30s all the way south of the Florida Keys. So bundle up, but have a very happy new year.
And that's a look at our weather. CNN Millennium 2000, a look back, starts right now. I'm Andrea Hall.
This is Larry King. 1 year ago tonight, the world ushered in a new millennium. As the clock struck midnight around the world, CNN was there to bring you live the joyful and peaceful activities and festivities that united the world in a common celebration. We saw the first moment of the new millennium in the Pacific. And we followed midnight around the world from Auckland, New Zealand to the Fiji Islands, Australia, Tokyo, Beijing, New Delhi, Red Square, the Egyptian pyramids, Jerusalem, Rome, Lagos, Nigeria, London, Rio de Janeiro. And across the United States, from Times Square to Chicago, across the Midwest and the South to Texas, Los Angeles, Honolulu. As the clock strikes midnight to welcome 2001 tonight, CNN brings you the sights and sounds of New Year's Eve 2000. As together we join the new millennium, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Acura RL with satellite-linked navigation system.
Weeknights, a dynamic new hour on CNN. At 8, Wolf Blitzer reports on the day's big stories on location.
I'll be where the news is happening with top newsmakers and the best of CNN's reporting.
At 8:30, get to the point with Greta Van Susteren as she takes on important issues in her own feisty style.
I'll ask the tough questions to get the straight answers in pursuit of the facts.
Wolf Blitzer and Greta Van Susteren, weeknights 8 Eastern on CNN.
Larry King. He asks the questions you'd ask if you were asking presidents and pundits, rogues and royalty, movie stars and shining stars. And he's been asking questions on CNN for 15 years. Unforgettable guests, memorable interviews. That's why he's the king of talk. Larry King Live, weeknights 9 Eastern on CNN.
Weeknights at 10:30. Every story has a spin.
It's beyond spin.
CNN's odd couple Bill Press and Tucker Carlson are debating the issues.
There it is.
Exchanging barbs.
And you should not mock me.
And most importantly,
taking your calls, emails, and chat room comments.
And giving you the chance to voice your opinion.
for the big spin on the top stories, step into the Spin Room. Weeknights, 10:30 Eastern on CNN.
It's time to separate the men from the boys, and TBS Superstation is just the network to do it. Why? Let's just say it's a guy thing. TBS has more of what guys want to watch, and we're not afraid to prove it. Now you know why TBS Superstation is the most watched network on cable.
No wonder they call it the Superstation.
TBS, I love you.
TBS Superstation. It's a guy thing.
This is Friday, December 31st, the last day of 1999. And we are now on the eve of a new year and of a new century. The first people to ring in the year 2000 on Earth are on Kiribati Island in the South Pacific. Now, to mark this occasion, part of the area has been renamed Millennium Island. It used to be Caroline Island. Now it is Millennium Island. Ceremonies with tribal dancing and music and a lot of chanting will usher in the new year there. It's a major undertaking for the island because it's normally unpopulated.
They actually changed the way the date line goes through that group of islands, actually extended it out to include Millennium Island so that they could lay claim to being one of the first places to see the new millennium. And you're actually looking at live pictures now from the Kiribati Islands, where 70 performers have traveled for some 3 weeks, some of them even coming by canoes to get to this island called Millennium Island for the celebrations that you're looking at now. It's a Micronesian celebration of hope. You're looking at a very traditional celebration going on there. That's one of the wonderful things about our coverage. You're going to see things that are very traditional like this, very modern. This is an ancient ceremony going on Millennium Island by the Micronesian people who live there. The Micronesians are from the very small islands in this Pacific area. The claps are part of their chant, and the song that they're singing is a song asking for unity in the new millennium.
And they apparently have it because they are now unified and they're all together dancing and chanting, and it is now 2000. It's January 1st, the year 2000 on the island of Kiribati. And you're now seeing the pictures there, the first pictures of the millennium.
All right, and now we want to take you to another region. This is a region actually of New Zealand, about 800 kilometers south of New Zealand, to the Chatham Islands, where millennium celebrations are about to get underway.
Show you some of the pictures that we're getting in from New Zealand. Another one of these millennium marriages. We're seeing couples on the islands there in that part of the ocean, in the part of the world, all racing to be the first married couples of the new millennium. There you're seeing a couple tying the knot in Auckland, New Zealand.
No better way to do it.
We're starting to see some fireworks now as well that are starting to light up the sky. This is the largest fireworks display ever in New Zealand. Each one of these shells that you see weighs about 70 kilos and is about 24 inches long. There was some concern that we wouldn't be able to see some of the higher fireworks here because of the cloud cover. It has been raining in New Zealand most of the day, but as you can see, the sky is definitely illuminated in Auckland as the year 2000 has arrived.
You are watching an incredible fireworks display to usher in the new millennium in New Zealand's largest city and its largest port.
CNN's Tom Mintier standing by in Auckland, New Zealand, and we believe that we may have an announcement or two coming from down there. Tom, what's going on?
We do, Leon. I do have the Stork report for you. At 1 minute after midnight, The first child was born, and about 14 minutes later, the second. The first being a boy born here in Auckland, in West Auckland in the hospital. Mother and son doing fine. 14 minutes later, a baby girl was born in Christchurch, New Zealand. Mother and daughter both doing fine.
2000 falls on a midsummer's night in Sydney, although it is a bit cool and windy there.
Well, Sydney greets the new year with a $3.5 million fireworks display. That should warm things up. And that's going to be launched from the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. And CNN's Michael Holmes is in Sydney and joins us now live. Michael?
You're looking at a beautiful picture there, Colleen, of the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's ironic, you know, that the Opera House now considered one of Australia's icons. And the first of the fireworks have begun. Magnificent. The year 2000 in Sydney, Australia. A magnificent fireworks display underway here. It will continue for 23 minutes and will cost some $3.5 million. They're claiming it's going to be the biggest fireworks display on Earth. And you can see in your picture there, even the Opera House taking part. It's the first and only time the Opera House will be used to launch fireworks.
I've got you under my skin. It's all been a joy and evening. You ain't nothing but a hound dogger, Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Rainbow is crazy, leaving and stand by your friend. It's been a hard day's night. Get around, I get around, yeah, okay. Hey, Georgie girl, today I had Friday on my mind. R-E-S-E-C-T, but not what it means to me. Don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. We got to Woodstock, we were
Just to give you a sense of how big this current display is, the Harbour Bridge is 1 kilometre wide, and look at it, completely lit up. 1 kilometre wide shower of fireworks. And just as a sidebar, I can report, as Tom Mintier did from Auckland, that it is now nearly 25 minutes past midnight here in Sydney. There's probably a dozen buildings in the city too, which you may or may not be able to see at the moment, that are all shooting fireworks at the moment. Very spectacular. The whole display is probably covering something like 7 miles by my reckoning. magnificent.
CNN adds another perspective to financial news.
The Moneyline News Hour puts the day's financial news into perspective for you.
That's our key priority, remembering what the investing public wants to hear and wants to know.
We'll unearth the facts and we'll make sense of them all.
No jargon, no statistics. Get away from all of that. Let's give you the big picture so that you can understand where your money is going and what it's going to do for you.
The new Moneyline, weeknights on CNN.
CNNFN.com. Fast. From the raw numbers to investment strategy and advice. Getting the information to you when you need it. CNNFN.com. Smart. Our team of online reporters and editors provide you the very latest facts with original reporting and writing on all the day's top financial stories, personal finance coverage second to none, and the tools to help you act on the information and news we provide. CNNFN.com. Put the web to work for you.
Log on to CNN.com and find out the latest information on your favorite CNN shows from your favorite CNN anchors. Register now at CNN.com's email page, and soon you'll receive daily email notices about upcoming guests, show topics, and trivia. From the anchors and producers of Larry King Live, Crossfire, Talkback Live, and more. Email updates from CNN anchors. It's something new at CNN.com.
We'll be in Tokyo for a religious ceremony that will literally ring in the new year. And the new century begins over a divided Korea. We'll go live to Seoul.
The lights have just been dimmed here on the grounds of Zojoji Temple now that we're into the final seconds of 1999 here in Japan. You can hear the crowd getting extremely excited. They've got 5,000 clear balloons prepared here with wishes attached for what they want to come true in the new millennium. Here comes the countdown now. Let's listen in. And there you have it, the new year in Tokyo. Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu, as they say here in Japanese, or Happy New Year from Japan. What you just heard was the ringing of a massive bell. As you can see behind me now, Tokyo Tower is also lit in some brilliant colors. It's got a 2000 sign on it, a 2000 sign also adorning the main temple of Zojoji Temple here. You can see the balloons heading off into the atmosphere. Absolute excitement here as Japan welcomes the new millennium.
We want to go straight across the Sea of Japan to South Korea, take a look at some of the live pictures that are coming into us there. But we saw President Kim Dae-jung there, presiding over the festivities. Fireworks and cheers from thousands upon thousands of people that lined the streets in Seoul. And then we heard Korea had its first millennium baby. Even saw some live pictures of that when we were able to get to them because we were in Tokyo looking at events there. And that is how it went at the stroke of midnight in Seoul, South Korea. Let's take a closer look now at what's going on in Beijing. Just a few moments ago, we saw President Jiang Zemin greeting people there outside the Millennium Tower. You can see the shower of fireworks, and we want to bring in now CNN's Beijing Bureau Chief Rebecca McKinnon for the latest. Rebecca, can you hear me?
A massive song and dance extravaganza is underway at the same time as a massive fireworks display. Right at the stroke of midnight, Chinese President Jiang Zemin lit a flame. It's going to be kept lit supposedly eternally. It's called the eternal flame of the Chinese people, and it's meant to represent 5,000 years, nearly 5,000 years of continuous Chinese civilization. This entire ceremony is full of nationalistic themes. It is showing the Chinese pride in their very long culture. One other theme that is very prevalent during this ceremony are dragons. The coming year, which in February of this coming year, there will be the Chinese New Year, which will mark the beginning of the Year of the Dragon. Now, the Year of the Dragon comes every 12 years, and it is considered by Chinese lore to be a very special year, but also, in many cases, a turbulent year. China is entering the millennium full of hope, both for its country and also for the coming year, and hoping that it will be a lucky year.
You're looking at live pictures from Bangkok, Thailand, and it is also midnight in Jakarta, Indonesia, two spots in the world that are now celebrating a new millennium.
Wherever you are, but you stay, happy
และวินาทีความสำคัญนี้นะครับพวกเราทุกคนจะร่วมกันจารึกไว้ในความทรงจำของเรานะครับ 1,000 ปีต่อไปเราคงไม่มีโอกาสได้สัมผัสบรรยากาศแบบนี้
In other parts of the world, in addition to Thailand, they are celebrating midnight right now. Let's go live to Jakarta, Indonesia. Indonesia, we should note, is the world's largest Muslim nation, so this isn't New Year's there either. We're in the 9th month of the Muslim calendar, Ramadan. So one thing religious authorities in Indonesia have been careful to remind people is to keep their mind on this as a holy time, not just a party time.
It is a dramatic time in Moscow. You see Red Square celebrating this moment. The fireworks in the less than 20 seconds now to midnight in Moscow. It has been a day of dramatic events. In terms of the Moscow government, we're not even sure how much of Russia knows what has happened to its leadership in the course of this day. Let's watch the final seconds now to midnight. More than 1 million people expected to turn out. As you see the fireworks, the pyrotechnics going off throughout the area around Red Square there in Moscow, a great celebration. This is the area that is the traditional celebration point for events in Moscow. But this is also a dramatic day in terms of events for that city and for the country.
It's been an extraordinarily dramatic day, a change of government. In fact, Boris Yeltsin decided to close out the 20th century by closing out his presidency and passing the reins to a younger and more vital leader, at least in an interim basis, on an acting basis, apparently counting on the fact of some political momentum to carry him, Mr. Putin, into the 21st century. This becomes a truly, truly transitional moment in this country.
Pilgrims from all over the world are gathering in Jerusalem and in Bethlehem. Egypt will use the Millennium celebrations to show off its pyramids, its old pyramids, in a new light.
And here you see in your split screen Bethlehem, Giza, Egypt, the site of the Great Pyramids, and South Africa, all of which are preparing to usher in the new year.
You see the excitement at Giza now, this huge celebration, a spectacular showing of lights and fireworks, pyrotechnics there. We'll see more in a moment.
Let us watch this. You know, part of this show, 2,000 school children will be entering this site, each with a candle, each to mark a year.
And there it is.
Let me tell you what the Egyptians had to say when they issued invitations to this event. If you were lucky enough to receive one in the mail, it said, "Caesar stood here, so did Napoleon. It's the sole surviving member of the 7 wonders of the world, and now you and your friends can greet the year 2000 as the sun rises up out of the African desert and 7 millennia of Egyptian history."
Looking down to another picture another scene where history has been so much a part of the community. That would be Bethlehem. In the lower part of your screen there, you see the celebration started out subdued and actually fairly political in Bethlehem earlier in the evening, but has now launched into full celebration and excitement, marking this historic occasion.
It will culminate with the release of 2,000 doves, one for each year in great hopes for peace. And in fact, the Middle East is at a very dramatic moment. On the threshold of peace are the hopes of those who live and work in this region, as the Israelis and the Syrians will mark the new year, January 3rd, as a matter of fact, by gathering in Washington, just outside of Washington, actually, to start some very dramatic peace talks. Joey, in Manger Square as well, the celebrations are going to include a special performance for Ramadan, short Palestinian films, and 100-strong children's choir, which will sing an ode to religious tolerance. That is a message the world very much wants to hear.
It certainly is a balancing act, Frank, for Bethlehem to engage all the different faith and culture that comes together in this particular community. Of course, we know that this is the end of Ramadan, and so for the Muslim faith, an important holiday. But of course, this is also the Jewish Sabbath, and so there had been a great deal of concern about the level of celebration.
And it is midnight in Bethlehem, as you see, and the year 2000 has arrived on the Gregorian calendar, and Walt Rogers is right there. Walter?
The fireworks have been blasting over 5 minutes now over the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem's Manger Square. Perhaps a little risky. That church has had roof fires before, but perhaps tonight we'll be blessed with good fortune. It is certainly a joyous event here in Bethlehem, the cradle of the millennium, the birthplace of the millennium, the fireworks being ignited over the Church of the Nativity, a 4th century church built in the reign of the Emperor Constantine over the traditional site of Jesus' birthplace. Frank?
Walter and Joey, you know, after all the concern that's been expressed about security, about Y2K, you're struck when you see this, that this really is an ode to joy. Yes. It really is a moment to celebrate and to ponder what the future may hold. As Walter pointed out, prospects for peace, clearly the hopes of those who are gathered there very much hinge on a better tomorrow.
Yes, and if you think about the words, the ode to joy, let each man in every nation live in peace and brotherhood. And I think they are attempting that tonight, doves notwithstanding. Let's go now, as you see in the upper part of your screen, to Giza, the Great Pyramids there. And you see the celebration. This is a, let's see, dusk to dawn celebration at the pyramid. This is one of the 3 main events of the world that international travelers wanted to go to for the millennium.
Well, you can certainly see why, and the light show that is promised up against the pyramids is something that we have yet to see here. But clearly the significance of these structures, the ancient civilization that emanated from Egypt itself, the fact that Egypt is celebrating its 7th millennium as the world marking on the Gregorian calendar celebrates the year 2000, it makes this a key location. And we should remember, not everybody's calendar, at least culturally and religiously, is tuned into the year 2000 and where the Gregorian calendar sits. For the Jewish calendar, it's another 240 years. This is before another millennium strikes. It's 5760 on the Jewish calendar. Muslim calendar, it's the year 1420.
Monday in the Spin Room. Happy New Year. From the president-elect to your mother-in-law, what resolutions do you want other people to make in 2001? Monday, 10:30 Eastern.
In 1964, 4 men from Liverpool came to America and changed the world forever. From the greatest band in history. All 27 of the Beatles' #1 hits available on one CD for the first time ever. Special packaging includes the famous Richard Avedon photos of the Beatles and a 32-page booklet. Hey Jude, don't the Beatles won 27 #1 songs that started a revolution and changed the sound of music forever. To order the Beatles 1, call the number on your screen or send $18.98 for CD or $11.98 for cassette plus shipping and handling to the address below. Call now.
Burden of Proof. Weekdays, 12:30 Eastern on CNN.
Counting down at Rome as well for the Pope's Urbi et Orbi message, the message of the Pope to the city and to the world as well. There you see a square at St. Peter's. You see some of the fireworks in the background. The Pope appearing before the massed crowds there at St. Peter's Square. This is a relatively shorter message that the Pope will give. He will give another one at dawn at the Vatican, at Vatican City, as well, laying out further his thoughts and his prayers and his hopes for the new millennium as well.
And now, Joey, to Madrid, as our tour continues. It's pretty good. You don't have to pay for it. We'll take you all over Europe and the world. This is the Puerta del Sol Plaza, which is considered the center, the geographic center of this wonderful city of Madrid, as they commemorate midnight there as well with fireworks. And I think we could say it literally, a star-studded cast.
Stars over the skies there in Spain. I want to move a little bit further south to Lagos in Nigeria. Party, something of a dance party underway in Lagos. This is a square in the capital, well, in the traditional capital of Nigeria, which is Lagos. The country now has an official capital at Abuja, but this is a ceremony in the place where Nigerians have traditionally gone to celebrate and share their joy. This has been, of course, an interesting political year for Nigeria.
A rich and culturally diverse society in its own right, about 114 million people or so, and religiously divided, about 50% Muslim in this country, 40% Christian, 10% indigenous beliefs. We want to take you to Berlin now, and Bettina Luzier, who's there for us. Bettina?
Amazing pictures here at the Berlin-Brandenburg Gate. This old symbol of division of Europe, a symbol of the Cold War tonight. This place of celebration as the Germans are looking forward to a new century, a century that they hope will be peaceful. The Brandenburg Gate was there, of course, in the old east of Berlin. At the other side of the 4.5 kilometer long street party is the Victory Column, and all in between are hundreds of thousands of people. And they are celebrating that the century is over. They're looking with optimism to the future. But when you talk to the people, they mainly say that they hope for health and for peace.
Greenwich Mean Time, where we are right now, is the Greenwich Meridian, considers itself the arbiter of universal time, and as such considers the millennium will not start officially until it starts here. With that in mind, the British over the last few years have been determined to make the biggest and the best splash for the millennium, and the centerpiece of their party is the dome, the Millennium Dome, where we are right now. This incredible structure, which you can see from our overhead camera, but it has taken many, many months, almost a year to build. It's supported by these 12 huge pylons. It's an enormous, the world's biggest roofed structure, twice the size of the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, which until now was the biggest roof structure. The tidbits say that it can contain the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Eiffel Tower on its side, and indeed 18,000 of those red double-decker buses.
If you had any doubt that this is the largest fireworks demonstration you have ever seen, let us assure you that this, in fact, is the case. In fact, they claim that this is such an elaborate demonstration of the pyrotechnic power of the British that you would be able to see this from space if you had been in space to watch all this. It's 39 tons of fireworks, all operated by remote control, and you could see on the River Thames, they put them out on the barges for safety and then lit them by remote control.
There were 16 barges up and down the Thames and a light show, as you can still see remnants of that. And I actually believe that you might have been able to see this from space.
Christian, we're looking at the River Thames and know that you are just down the way a bit from where the location is of the beacon.
It is extraordinary to think that over the past 24 hours, we've watched, for the first time in the history of our planet, all peoples of the world, different nationalities, different cultures, different religions, celebrate the same event.
This is Larry King in Los Angeles. It's midnight, approaching in the Western Hemisphere, and the first city to get it, major city, is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Copacabana Beach. There is the scene. It's summer in Brazil, and it's 5 seconds to go. Let's watch together. $2,000 has arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and in the Western Hemisphere. And there you see the celebration in one of the world's more beautiful cities. What a day this has been. CNN brilliantly, I think, has covered this. We're going to check in momentarily with Charles Ziwi, who is on the scene in Rio de Janeiro. And there's the fireworks going off at Copacabana Beach. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 2,000 has arrived. All right, Charles Ziwi, where are you and what's happening?
Larry, I'm standing in the surf here on the Copacabana Beach, and the third Millennium, Larry, has arrived in the Americas. This is the scene. Fireworks overhead, beautiful fireworks in the colors of the Brazilian flag of yellow and green. This is supposed to go on for about 18 minutes before it finally finishes in a 20,000 shell explosion of gold and silver and white shells. 2 million, perhaps as many as 2 million people are on the beach here. They're saying it could be 3 million, 5 million overall in Brazil on beaches here, tourists, Brazilians alike. They call them cariocas. This is a country that is celebrating what it hopes will be a new birth of its economy in the new millennium. Brazil has long been considered a third world country, but the president of Brazil told me today he hopes this New Year's marks the end of that this country will go and become a modern country. This is still a country, though, where most of the people earn only 165 reals a month. That's about the equivalent of 75 US dollars. So here's the scene. This party is expected to go on all night long. Larry?
Thanks, Charles. There's the scene in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That is, as he said, it's expected to go on all night long. It is summer there, isn't it, Charles?
It is summer, and what you're watching right now, Eric, this is a tribute that most Brazilians who are wearing white down here on the beach engage in. They are throwing waters, this woman dousing herself with champagne. This is in a tribute to La Manja. She is the mythical god of the sea. This is a custom that is a couple of hundred years ago, perhaps older here in Brazil. It is meant to bring good luck and health and happiness in the new year. This is a combination of Carnival and New Year's and the biggest party you've ever seen all rolled into one here. It's summertime. People have been enjoying the beach. No Y2K worries here. People have been more intent on having one heck of a party, and you can see they're doing that right now.
One other thing, Charles, why the white? Why is everyone in white?
It has to do with tradition, Larry. They're called cariocas, which is an Indian term that means white hut. When the Portuguese first discovered Brazil and settled Brazil 500 years ago, and this, by the way, is the 500th birthday of Brazil, they built white huts on the beach. It's an Indian term that got adopted here. That's why they're wearing white tonight. The officials here have been organizing this celebration, have said that they expect at least 3 million people along Copacabana Beach, was about 2 miles long, shaped in a crescent here in Rio, and another 2, maybe 3 million on other beaches in Brazil.
Thanks, Charles. Charles Ziwi on the scene. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's the year 2000 in the Western Hemisphere.
When I evaluate a company, I ask myself, would I put my own money in this company? I see no reason to buy the stock in here. This is not a job that's done well behind the desk. We go out doing the field work that the individual investor does not have time to do. The inventory was in terrific shape going into the fourth quarter. My job as an analyst is not just about buy recommendations. It's about not being surprised by anything. At the end of the day, we just want to do what's right for the investor.
Find out with 10 free issues of Investors Business Daily. It's not just a newspaper. It's a research tool that filters through 10,000 stocks every day to find the true leaders. Call now for 10 free issues of Investors Business Daily.
In a year of historic beginnings and sensational endings, CNN was there. Through tragedies and battles, CNN was there. On television and online. Trusted, in-depth, and worldwide. CNN is the world's news leader.
Washington, D.C., New York City, and the countdown on the East Coast is underway. A matter of seconds, less than 45 seconds now, as we go down to approaching 30 seconds before the new millennium on the East Coast of the United States.
The fabled ball, now a Waterford crystal creation, is about to drop in Times Square. We will be there.
This crystal ball has never been seen before. Waterford crystal, it is hand-carved. It will only be seen this one particular time. It weighs 1,070 pounds. It has 504 individually cut crystals. We have 2 million people here. Looking back behind me toward the south, past 1 Times Square, all the way back to 34th Street, and then back north, all the way down to 59th, 6th Avenue, 8th Avenue. It is wall-to-wall people down here, and they're well-behaved. They're having a great time.
of people who have simply packed around. It's unbelievable.
In your upper left-hand corner, the Windy City, the largest fireworks display in Chicago's history, about to get underway. We are at 1 minute and 8 seconds and counting.
People in Granbury, Texas are poised in the town square.
We are here in Granbury, Texas. What you're looking at is the courthouse, which really is the centrifugal force of this town, around which all of the New Year's Eve activities have gathered. Right now, they're listening to the tones of Larry Joe Taylor, a Texas-bred country western singer. He is the one that is going to lead the countdown to New Year's here in this small town of about 6,000.
Let's show Granbury something they've never seen before. The good folks at CNN, let's show it around the world.
It's very interesting as we watch the fireworks over Lake Michigan on the shores of Chicago. Guess what? Last year this time, this city and its residents were suffering under 22 inches of snow. And Jeff Flock, have you seen a flake tonight?
Not a one, Bernie, and you know, it's been a beautiful night, and you can see the fireworks are just gorgeous. It's been unseasonably warm. These people are tremendous, but the reason that I couldn't think of any better place to be than Chicago tonight is the people that you see. The faces from literally 200, I think, and 205 is now the total, countries from around the world. 2 people from each of those countries coming here. You know, a pharmacist from Albania, a priest from Bulgaria, a farmer from Indonesia, a housewife from Mexico. The list goes on, all coming together in Chicago tonight, which has always been a melting pot, but probably never more so than at this very moment. As this new millennium, perhaps, if that's the way you look at it, is rung in here. And it's really been an extraordinary evening to spend time with these people and just watch the whole world come together, both on CNN as well as here in Chicago.
Jeff Flock, our Chicago Bureau Chief.
And now we want to go to
Mexico City. Our Bureau Chief there, Harris Whitbeck.
The tradition here in Mexico says that if you're wearing red undergarments as the new year arrives, that it will ensure a lot of prosperity, a lot of love, and a lot of good luck in the new year. So I can assure you that at least some of those 200,000 people who are out there are wearing bright red underwear tonight.
It is 2 minutes and 30 seconds to midnight Pacific Standard Time. The Millennium Sweep returns to the Pacific as CNN tracks 2,000 to the west coast of North America.
Los Las Vegas, the biggest party in town, we're told, a downtown light show and concert covering 4 city blocks.
You're now looking at live pictures of millennial celebrations underway in Hawaii. As millions have done before them, Hawaiians are now ringing in the year 2000.
There you see the fireworks going off there in a display in Honolulu's harbor.
These fireworks are being launched actually from a barge out there somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. You can see where they're being launched at from out there. It's off the beach there. Actually, it's quite a beautiful shot.
One of the downtown hotels is also hosting a Hawaii-style welcome, what they describe as a Hawaii-style welcome. There's lots of music and dance from Hawaiian performers.
Where were you when the Dow hit 10,000? CNN-FN was the only network live from the New York Stock Exchange floor. Revolution doesn't wait. 24 hours of financial knowledge. CNN-FN and CNNFN.com. The revolution is here.
Weeknights, a dynamic new hour on CNN. At 8, Wolf Blitzer reports on the day's big stories on location.
I'll be where the news is happening with top newsmakers and the best of CNN's reporting.
At 8:30, get to the point with Greta Van Susteren as she takes on important issues in her own feisty style.
I'll ask the tough questions to get the straight answers in pursuit of the facts.
Wolf Blitzer and Greta Van Susteren, weeknights 8 Eastern on CNN. Weeknights at 10:30. Every story has a spin.
It's beyond spin.
CNN's odd couple Bill Press and Tucker Carlson are debating the issues.
There it is.
Exchanging barbs.
And you should not mock me.
And most importantly,
taking your calls, emails, and chat room comments. And giving you the chance to voice your opinion.
For the big spin on the top stories, step into the Spin Room. Weeknights, 10:30 Eastern on CNN.
CNNFYI.com, the ultimate news and information source for students and teachers. Get in-depth features and coverage of the day's events from CNN. Discover your world through exciting interactive simulations. Link to materials used in schools, making homework quick and easy. And check out your school's website and online newspaper. For educators, it offers a wealth of resources and teaching tools. CNNFYI.com. It's news, knowledge, now.
It's time to separate the men from the boys, and TBS Superstation is just the network to do it. Why? Let's just say it's a guy thing. TBS has more of what guys want to watch, and we're not afraid to prove it. Now you know why TBS Superstation is the most watched network on cable.
No wonder they call it the Superstation.
TBS, I love you.
TBS Superstation. It's a guy thing.
Now it's the dawn of another new year, 2001. As we count down to midnight, there's only one thing left to say. Fortunately, there's a way to say it in every language of the world.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
С Новым годом всех! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! كل عام وأنتم بخير!
Sunny Father!
Happy New Year!
Buon anno. Happy New Year.
It's my first time celebrating a new millennium.